Oh, Jason was just mentioning that 2 years ago maybe there would have been a value interest for those investors, but SAREB was not there, SOCIMIs were not working properly. So I think that these two vehicles have really helped to make our market more interesting. So both, although they are very different and we can see difference, their main attractive has to do with taxation, which in the case of SOCIMIs, which are Spanish rates, you can call them, with certain requisites, it's zero, absolutely zero for the entity, which is transparent. And for these FABs, it's 1%. So this helps a lot. I think that there has been a lot of excitement, but that's something that was not in place 1 year ago. I would say, well, the regulation for SOCIMIs was in place since 2009, but there was non-registered. Okay, so what's the funny thing about SOCIMIs? They have to be listed, they are regulated, there's a certain requirement of distribution of dividends, there's a certain requirement of assets that they can invest in. But the idea is, well, and we can speak later on about who's being interested in those, and I would say for the time being, there are 10 in the process of being registered. 2 are, say, high net worth entities, and the other ones are, or the 2 ones that I would consider more interesting is Unibail-Rodamco, that I understand that they are looking into it, and the other ones is, I don't know if I may say, the People REIF and the BBVA structure. So what, I think that's the exciting part of it. I mean, for high net worth, it might be interesting, but what would make our market very interesting is having these kind of players. And I don't know then what's the degree of free flow that Unibail-Rodamco might be thinking of having, or this gentleman here. But the basic idea is, okay, it's a sophisticated instrument if you want to invest through it in Spain, because you really need to have it listed, be it in the Spanish stock exchange, any other stock exchange in countries where you have a double taxation treaty would work as well. But then it needs some sophistication. For the FABs, which is one of these funny acronyms we were talking last night, I think that was thought of for international investors, the FABs. Okay, what they are basically funds. They are basically funds, and the opportunity they give is, well, they necessarily have to be participated by SAREB, but there's not a minimum stake that they need to have. So the figures that Patricia was showing were both of them 51 the private sector, 49 the SAREB, but that doesn't have to be like that. Normally, what's the feeling of that is that you can get a greater size like that with not as much equity. But then these are also regulated. They are regulated with the Spanish stock exchange. They need someone who manages the company, who is also regulated. So again, it takes some sophistication. And then you finally need a servicer, which is why all these platforms are becoming very interesting. For the time being, I understand that there are 2 working, which is great news as well, because this was only created at the beginning of this year. So this has helped very much our market. And my view through these SOCIMIs and FABs is that the market for big players is making sense. And our government has taken the time to really provide vehicles that would help in this approach. You know?